Want to know the latest in soccer? Then listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. From MLS, the World Cup, and the Premier League, we've got you covered. The latest updates, the hottest matches, and news on the league's top players. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
David Beckham scores the goal to take England all the way to the World Cup finals.
Listen now.
Thank you for listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast, where we discuss all the news in soccer, including all the top games and competitions from all around the world. My name is Ben.
And my name is Alex.
We are back together for the last time.
You made it sound so sad.
Well, it is sad.
Yeah, it's my last soccer show.
Why? Tell everyone why.
Well, I got a job. I got another job. And it's time.
He's moving on to bigger and better things.
It's time for me to head on.
Alex is transferring out of the podcast, moving on to bigger and better things. So
yep.
I will
be
be
with a sport organization.
I will be happy that you did that, but I will be sad that you will not be here anymore.
Well, you can always shoot me a text, or there's a day I can come appear on one of your shows. I'd be happy to.
I bet you would, and I know you would like to, because this is the one you're going to miss the most.
Yes, it is. You're dead on right about that.
I mean, I'm usually right about a lot of things. So
wow. You're not wrong.
I'm not wrong. Anyways, guys, we are here on the show. It is Alex's last show, so it's going to be a little sad one, but that's no reason to not have a great one.
Not at all.
So we're going to have to do that. We're going to be talking a lot of things. Last week, we had the Ballon d'Or Award ceremony. We had to leave the studio. They were about 10 with the rankings, about where we left off. So we'll have to finish out the top 10, as well as the winner of the award. Had quite an impressive season. Very deserving. It's the guy we thought it would be. Cristiano Ronaldo from Portugal and Real Madrid. But we will nevertheless talk about his now 4th Ballon d'Or Award, as well as the rest of the top 10. See if they got it right or wrong. I think there's a few things I would have changed in there. Okay. But anyways, we'll talk about that in the first segment of the show. Second and third segment are going to be pretty usual. Talk about some results, some games within the past week, as well as look ahead to this upcoming, I guess you can say, midweek. A lot of clubs and a lot of teams getting sort of a game in before Christmas or right after Christmas, with it being on Sunday. So on Monday, next Monday, we have a huge day. I'll be doing the show by myself, obviously, since my buddy old pal won't be here. But a huge day of Boxing Day for the Premier League on Monday, so we'll talk a lot about that. And then really just a lot of great games for next weekend. But we're going to have just really stuff midweek to talk about this week on the show for games that will be coming up. A lot of great things in the Bundesliga. We'll talk about that in segment 3. But for segment number 1, we got to talk about the Ballon d'Or, Alex. As I mentioned, Cristiano Ronaldo, he wins his 4th Ballon d'Or as of last Monday. The 3 finalists are the guys we actually predicted. Lionel Messi finishes 2nd. Clap. Antoine Griezmann from France finishes in 3rd. Luis Suarez and Neymar finish 4 and 5. Lionel Messi's teammates. So 3 out of the top 5 from Barcelona. Very, really impressive. Number 6 is Gareth Bale, the Welsh winger for Real Madrid. Number 7 and number 8, a pair of teammates from Leicester, Riyad Mahrez and Jamie Vardy. Pepe comes in at number 9, the Portuguese center back for Real Madrid. And then Gianluigi Buffon, the Italian goalkeeping legend from Juventus, comes in at number 10. So we have Suarez and Neymar rounding out the top 5. Alex, I'm really surprised Gareth Bale did not get in there. I actually thought he was going to finish 4th in this list for what he did with Wales, getting them into a semifinal in the European Championships, as well as his contributions for Real Madrid as a part of their Champions League winning season. I thought he would have finished ahead of Suarez and Neymar, personally.
Yeah, he had a good season. I think on the international standpoint, as far as Neymar kind of looked at as, I mean, they're on, look at what team they're on, So when you're on that squad, it makes it a little easier to almost kind of heighten your status. So I think that might be really what it was. That might be the reason, in my eyes at least, kind of put them up that level.
Yeah, we're not really arguing much, I realize, because
nitpicking.
Unless you win, that's all that really matters. So I get it, but I was just a little surprised. I did think that Bale probably should have finished 4th behind Griezmann and Messi. But anyways, and then I'm really surprised we have 2 players from Leicester in there, Jamie Vardy and Riyad Mahrez, 7 and 8. I'm happy to see them in there. Great seasons, but I think it's just maybe they got a few more votes from the journalists because of the season Leicester had, having to overcome really 5,000 to 1 odds, the biggest upset in all of soccer ever in my eyes. Mm-hmm. So I think that's part of the reason they're up there. But I was like, well, I mean, some of these other guys probably should have been more deserving, to my opinion. But
yeah, I feel like with this countdown kind of in the award for it in the list, I think there's always going to be some room for disagreement with people, whether you move one person up 2 spots or back 2 spots or whatever it is. I think there's a lot of room for argument with it. But, I mean, there's no denying that this list is full of really good players.
Definitely. And we have another award list that will be revealed the start of next year. On Monday, January 9th, will be the FIFA Man of the Year. And I would imagine Ronaldo will win the same award. But maybe we'll have a little different voting. Coaches have to include in this as well as journalists. So maybe we'll have some sort of little differences. But I think the main man... going to be unchanged. It's going to be unchanged.
I agree with you on that. I don't see it changing much, let alone significantly.
Nah, I don't either, my friend. And then really quickly before we take our break, so those are our Ballon d'Or winners. Like I said, Cristiano Ronaldo wins his 4th now, just trailing Messi in that aspect. But for the rest of this short segment, we'll talk about a guy who has signed a brand new contract as of this morning, and it's a center back from Juventus. It's Leonardo Bonucci. He has signed an extension in his contract with the club until 2021. Bonucci is 29 years old, and he's actually been linked to a few clubs within the Premier League about a possible transfer, some of them being Chelsea, some of them being Manchester City, a couple of guys who are really, really interested. Obviously, the Chelsea link does make sense. Antonio Conte, the Italian manager, was his manager for the Italian national team. Bonucci, a great center back, but really burst on the scene at the European Championships with Italy. Probably their best player and definitely their best defender, but he's not going anywhere. He said, I'm pleased and proud to continue our victorious, successful season and journey until 2021. It's definitely a great feeling. I feel I am an important part of one big family. You can achieve this by working hard and always being there for your teammates, helping out when they're going through tough times and celebrating all together in successful periods. So Leonardo Bonucci not going anywhere, Alex. Surprised?
Yeah, not at all. I mean, he's been there since 2010. He's at the end of his, say he sits there his entire length of his contract. He'll be there for 11 years. In his time there, he's, like I said, since 2010, he's won 5 Serie A titles. He's played as well as 2 Coppa Italia crowns. I mean, he's made 291 appearances with the team. I mean, he wanted to be there. He wanted to stay there. He likes to play there with them. And personally, I imagine he's probably going to, excluding any unforeseen things, he's going to work out the rest of that time there with them. He wants to be there. He says, he wants to be a Juventus legend there. When people look back at the great Juventus players and what he wants to be remembered as. And he said he wants more responsibility, really, to his great new deal, just to take advantage of the motivation on a daily basis, get the extra training and all that stuff. He wants to be one of the best. So I don't knock him at all.
Trust me, the tempting feeling is there. You have Manchester City calling, they're going to offer you a ton of money.
Yes, sir.
You have Chelsea calling, they're going to offer you a ton of money. You also have sort of a relationship with the manager already, so I get that. But why would you leave Juve? I realized Paul Pogba just did it, and he went back to Manchester United where he was before.
Yes, sir.
But why would you leave Juve? I mean, you're leaving an elite club. I think Juventus are in a better position than Manchester City right now. Chelsea, maybe not so much. They're just flying high right now. But obviously you have Champions League football. You're going to be winning a ton of titles. You're already in your home country of Italy. I wouldn't see much of a reason for him to leave. And now you got to say he's not going anywhere. You have, in my opinion, in Juventus, you have the best back line in the world. Mm-hmm. You're teaming up with Chiellini, Barzagli. You already have Dani Alves there, Stefan Lichtsteiner. You have Alexandro on the left if you want to do that. Gigi Buffon is absolute legend. So I don't know why you want to leave there, and he's obviously not going to. I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, Buffon says he wants to play till he's 65. So
yeah, well, Buffon might be able to. He's only been playing for older than I've been.
He's
born,
39
I think,
in January. So yeah, I mean, yes, obviously he's older than you. He's been playing for I think he said about 15 years now.
Yeah, Gigi Buffon is an absolute legend. Even if when Buffon retires, they have another Gianluigi, and it's Gianluigi Donnarumma, who is going to fill in and step in beautifully. The kid is 17 years old. He's playing for AC Milan already. He was playing at 15 years old for AC Milan.
And Buffon could be his dad.
Buffon might be his dad, and we just don't know it yet. They have the same name.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, no, obviously I'm just kidding, but definitely, so big deal there for Bonucci. He's not going anywhere. He's staying with Juve. No real surprise. We'll take our first break, guys. After the break, we're going to talk a ton of results. Big 2 days in England. We had a couple of days where games were on during the middle of the week, and then a couple of days on the weekend. So we're through 2 match days in England. Big results all across Europe. We'll talk about those after the break at the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
We are back at the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast, going to be talking a lot of results within the last week in world soccer. Alex, where should we start?
Let's start the Premier League like we always do.
So we're starting with the Premier League. All right, buddy. So as I mentioned, we had 2 match days with the Christmas break coming up. The Premier League is rampant. There's games literally every single day with the exception of Christmas between now and January 1st, which is obviously a great time to be alive for soccer fans. But one team that's not having a great week is Arsenal, Alex.
Yeah, they're not, and I know that means you might not be exactly either.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but my hair is a little shorter. It's because I've been pulling it out. Arsenal, week 16, midweek, traveled to Goodison Park to take on Everton, who were unbeaten at home. Obviously a very good club, very good side at home, but have been really struggling within the Premier League. Only 1 win in their last 10. Mm-hmm. Arsenal get a goal in the first half, a free kick that took a deflection, a goal for Alexis Sanchez, which brings his goal tally to 12 for the season, so he's having a great season. But then Arsenal just concede the next 2 goals for a 2-1 defeat against Everton. And then yesterday, it's almost a carbon copy of the exact same thing. You have Theo Walcott scoring from Alexis Sanchez, a beautiful run by Hector Bellerin down the right side to give it up to Alexis with some great center forward play to find the runner in behind, which is Theo Walcott, to give Arsenal a 1-0 lead within the 5th minute. But from then on, just no real chances at all. They lose 2-1, couple of second half goals, a little bit of question goals in the first goal there by Leroy Sané. Looked to be a bit offsides, but he does nevertheless get the call. And then a beautiful solo effort by Raheem Sterling to give Manchester City a 2-1 victory over Arsenal. So they had only lost 1 game as of last week we talked against Liverpool on match day 1. And now they have lost 2 games within the past week.
Back to back.
They found themselves 9 days ago top of the Premier League. And they now sit 4th.
Didn't last long.
Dropping 6 points within the past week. Just not a good week for them. But anyway, some of the other results. So we'll start with week 16, match day 16, games Tuesday and Wednesday. We mentioned the Everton-Arsenal result on Tuesday. The other game that day was Bournemouth with a 1-0 victory over Leicester City. Leicester just not the same team we saw last year, although on match day 15, that big victory over Manchester City 4-2. Mm-hmm. And then on Wednesday, Liverpool, comfortable 3-0 victory over Middlesbrough. A couple of goals by Adam Lallana. He's having a fantastic season for the Reds. West Ham pick up a big victory over Burnley, 1-0. It was a penalty goal by Mark Noble for the 1-0 victory. Chelsea continue. Now it's 11 games in a row, but this was the 10th victory in a row with a 1-0 victory over Sunderland, a goal by Cesc Fabregas. Man City cruised to a comfortable 2-0 victory over Watford. The one downfall there for City is they do lose German midfielder Ilkay Gundogan. He has torn his ACL, Alex. He's out for the season and maybe out for a lot of 2017 as well.
Yeah, it's a tough loss for them. He's a great player this year. And I mean, especially for soccer players, I feel like ACL tears are the worst. You know, I mean, they're bad for any sport, but man, for that much running, yeah, that's just too bad.
They do have a lot of good midfielders, but Gundogan was playing extremely well for City since coming over this summer from Borussia Dortmund. A few more results. West Brom pick up a 3-1 victory over Swansea. Stoke and Southampton, a 0-0 draw. Kind of a boring game. Manchester United pick up a 2-1 victory over Crystal Palace on the road. Goals by Paul Pogba and Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Yes,
Ibrahimovic, a pretty good week. We'll talk about him in Week 17. And then Tottenham cruised to a 3-0 victory over Hull City. A couple of goals there by Christian Eriksen. He almost had a hat trick. His free kick did hit off the bar, but Victor Wanyama was there to chip it in for the 3-0 victory for Hotspurs.
It's a great name. I like Wanyama.
Definitely. All right, Alex, let's do Week 17 now.
All right, so we look at Week 17. Those games were Saturday through today, as a matter of fact. We'll have a game.
Yeah, today the big one.
But let's start with Saturday. We had pretty much most of the games that day. Crystal Palace fell to Chelsea 1-0. Middlesbrough over Swansea City 3-0. Stoke City and Leicester City in the Battle of the Cities did have a draw at 2-2. Sunderland defeats Watford 1-0. And West Ham over Hull City 1-0 as well. And Man U gets back-to-back wins over West Brom 2-0. We move yesterday to Sunday. Southampton over Bournemouth 3-1. Like you mentioned, Man City over Arsenal 2-1. And Tottenham over Burnley FC 2-1. And then today, in just under 2 hours, just over 2 hours, excuse me, it's 5 minutes over 2 hours, as a matter of fact, we have Everton and Liverpool facing off against one another at noon Pacific Standard Time here.
The Merseyside derby, Everton and Liverpool. The game is at Goodison Park where Everton are still unbeaten. But I will give the edge to the Reds.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
They're flying high. They're playing great.
They are playing well.
Even without Philippe Coutinho, they're still moving the ball fantastic. Sadio Mane has been an absolute stud all year long since coming over from Southampton. I will give Liverpool the edge against Everton.
Yeah.
Although the game is at Everton, it's a rivalry game. It's a derby. You know, you get up for it. So
yeah. I'd say you're probably right on that. Liverpool has been playing great lately. Everton's not horrible this year, but they're not playing at the level that Liverpool's been playing. So, yeah, I'll give it to Liverpool.
That is for sure, my friend. So, talk about some of these results. Chelsea, a 1-0 victory again against Crystal Palace. That's 3 games in a row. They have got a 1-0 victory. 11 consecutive wins within the Premier League. That ties a club record. They will be going for win number 12 on Boxing Day. But they will not have Diego Costa for that game against West Ham, a London derby. He did pick up his 5th yellow card on Saturday against Palace, so he will miss a game. He leads the Premier League in goals with 13. He was the goal scorer in their 1-0 victory over Crystal Palace. Middlesbrough, a nice 3-0 victory over Swansea. Kind of a 6-point game there when you look at those two teams will be battling in the relegation zone. A couple of goals from Alvaro Negredo. Stoke City and Leicester City, a 2-2 draw. Stoke were up 2-0 at the half. They also had a man advantage. Jamie Vardy receives a straight red in the first half. Just a really reckless 2-footed challenge. He gets sent off right away. But Leicester do fight back to get the tie, which is really, really important for them as they try to withstand points and not be in a relegation battle themselves. Sunderland, a really nice victory over Watford, 1-0. West Ham, Mark Noble again, his second goal in as many games, 1-0 over Hull City. Manchester United get a 2-0 victory over West Brom. Couple of goals by Zlatan Ibrahimovic, now 3 in his last 2 games. Alex, you're excited about that, I know.
Yes, I am very excited about that. And Pogba getting some goals, too. You know, seeing those two start producing the way they are, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, Paul Pogba has been actually playing well lately. Not off to a great start, but he's working his way into the squad now. And then Tottenham yesterday, a 2-1 victory over Burnley. Did drop the first goal, but then goals by Dele Alli as well as Danny Rose to get the 2-1 victory for Tottenham. And then, of course, Monday, today, Everton and Liverpool. We both like Liverpool. We'll have to talk about that game next week. Alex, when you look at this Premier League table now, Chelsea obviously a nice cushion. They do have a 7-point lead over City right now. They do have a 9-point lead over Liverpool, which could get cut to 6 if the Reds do beat Everton today. Arsenal with 34 points, Tottenham with 33, so the Spurs are just 1 point behind Arsenal now. And Manchester United now with 30 points, but they do find themselves 13 points off the top of Chelsea. So I think they're kind of out of it.
Yeah. With the way the top of this table is really you're looking at Chelsea. Chelsea's playing great. 43 points. No one's really near them in the sense of their points in that sense. But Man City's right behind them, and then from there all the way down to 5. All the way down to 6. It's it's a 6-point difference. It's really impacted, and I think it's gonna be hard to get back in there really with the way these teams are playing right now.
Yeah, the top 4 might be tough to predict a little bit right now. You have Tottenham sort of edging their way back in. Arsenal just really, really hurting right now. A lot of fans are really upset with how this team has played the last couple of days, and I get it. I'm one of those fans. Mesut Ozil has looked absolutely extinct. I didn't even know he was on the pitch against Everton and yesterday against City, so I get it. But honestly, Chelsea have won 11 in a row. They're not going to win every single game. We know that. But I don't know if anyone can catch them. The way they just play is so, so good. 11 wins. They've only given up 2 goals in those 11 games, 9 clean sheets. Their defense is just impeccable right now, and they're getting the job done up front. Diego Costa, Eden Hazard playing absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's the best time to play this way, when it matters most, And they have this nice break from the Champions League right now, so that's nice in terms of focusing on the Premier League. And
that is the one advantage I will give Chelsea as opposed to some of these other teams. Well, Liverpool as well, but City, Arsenal, Tottenham, even United in the Europa League. Yeah. Chelsea don't have to worry about any European competitions. They can just simply focus on the FA Cup, which is coming up, which we'll see how serious they take that. But first and foremost, the Premier League. They don't have to worry about any outside competitions, which is huge. They can rest a lot of their big-name guys.
Yes, sir. That's really the best thing you can ask for. So I think it's definitely arrived at a good time for them.
All right, man. At least. I do agree. Let's transfer over to the Bundesliga. That is your baby.
Yes, it is. It is my baby. She's finally walking. It's good walking around.
Well, I would hope so, but
we had games from Friday to Saturday and Sunday. No Monday games on this one to speak of. So Friday we had one game at Borussia Dortmund and Hoffenheim. We had a 2-2 draw. We had Red Bull Leipzig picking up where they left off last week after a disappointing loss with a win over Hertha BSC 2-0. Werder Bremen and FC Cologne 1-1 draw, as well as Schalke and SC Freiburg in a 1-1 draw. Mainz defeats Hamburg 3-1 in a solid win for them. And Borussia Mönchengladbach loses to FC Augsburg 1-0, as a matter of fact. Wolfsburg over Eintracht 1-0, and those were all on Saturday. And then to end the week off, we had Bayern Munich over Darmstadt 1-0, and Ingolstadt over Bayer Leverkusen 2-1.
Real quick, just some breaking news that Liverpool's Joel Matip, he's a center back. He will not be fit to play tonight for Liverpool, so a big loss for them as they battle Everton. But anyways, talk about some of these results. Definitely Dortmund escaped with the 2-2 draw. Marco Reus did get sent off just before halftime. A really, really controversial booking there. I don't think he got the fair rep for him. But Hoffenheim, they get a draw. There's death, Alex. There's taxes. And that Hoffenheim are going to get a draw. Hoffenheim are still unbeaten in the league. The only team to be unbeaten, but only 6 wins to go with 9 draws.
I was going to say, I don't know what's much better. I mean, they have 6 wins, but they've drawn 9 times. I mean, if you could literally just convert 3 more of those into wins, you're looking at 9 and 6, and possibly right up there with Red Bull Leipzig.
Yeah, I just don't get what it is with them. They just simply cannot get a victory. They don't lose, which is great. That's the object of the game. You're always getting a point, but you're constantly dropping 2 points. 9 draws, at least 3 more than every other team in the league. Definitely not a good situation. You mentioned Leipzig do get a 2-0 victory over Hertha Berlin, which is actually a really good result. Hertha Berlin 4th in the league. They get a couple of goals from Timo Werner. He's got 6 in his last 6 for the Red Bulls. So great for him to get back on track. And then Bayern Munich, the 1-0 victory over Darmstadt. An absolutely cracker of a goal.
Firecracker.
From Douglas Costa. Gets all 3 points for Bayern. Puts them back atop of the league over Leipzig, obviously on goal differential. But that goal yesterday from Douglas Costa might have been the best I've seen in a while. Just outside of the box, just didn't even have a chance. Just the pace on that ball was filthy. It was nasty, and Darmstadt didn't have a chance. And it was a fantastic goal, and a goal that Bayern needed. Obviously, the only goal in the game to get them going and put them back atop of the table. So you look at the Bundesliga table, Bayern Munich and Red Bull Leipzig are tied, joint 36. They have a huge game coming up on Wednesday. We'll preview that in the third segment. Top 2 matchup in the Bundesliga. Doesn't get any prettier than that. Hoffenheim do still sit third, although they are unbeaten. They just keep drawing. Hertha Berlin are 4th. Dortmund with the draw are 5th at 26 points. So 10 points off of second place, just 1 point off of third, though. So they're starting to play a little better after being on such a sluggish start. For me, the couple of clubs that are just really, really faltering right now, Bayer Leverkusen, they lost to Ingolstadt. They are now 9th, 20 points. Wolfsburg, 13 points to 15 games, 15th. They look like they're in just disarray, especially Julian Draxler. So have to wait and see what goes on with them. Borussia Mönchengladbach, 13th, 16 points through 15 games. I think maybe some of the European football is getting to a few of these clubs and just really affecting their play.
Yeah, probably fatigue starting to set in. You have a lot of games in such a short span of time, almost through the entire week, kind of like we saw at the Premier League this week. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just fatigue starting to get them,
I do think that's the case here. So we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we have the Bundesliga, a few games midweek here, and then they take the month off. So, Alex, I realize you're taking longer than a month off. You're taking forever off, but you're taking some time off with the Bundesliga. They'll be back January 20th after games midweek this week. So,
yes, sir.
All right, so now we'll transfer over to La Liga. On Friday, Alaves did defeat Real Betis 1-0. Saturday, most of the games, Villarreal with a 3-1 victory over Sporting Gijon. Atletico Madrid get a 1-0 victory, a goal from Saul over Las Palmas. Real Sociedad with a 2-0 victory over Granada. Sevilla, a monstrous 4-1 victory over Malaga. They were up 4-0 at the half as well. Leganes and Eibar get a 1-1 draw yesterday. Deportivo La Coruña, they've been playing really well recently. Almost beat Real Madrid last week. They get a 2-0 victory over Osasuna. Barcelona with a 4-1 victory over Espanyol. A couple of goals for Luis Suarez and a magical performance by Lionel Messi. I feel a little bad for him. An absolutely solo run, which was fantastic. Dribbled through I don't know how many Espanyol defenders. Has his shot saved, although Suarez does finish it off in the first half. So that was great. But Lionel Messi with a fantastic play yesterday. And then he did get, obviously, his deserving goal in the 90th minute at the end of the game. And then today we do have one game, and it's Atletico Bilbao against Celta Vigo. The game will kick off in about an hour and a half. Real Madrid did not play because they did have World Cup to handle yesterday. Kind of surprising there. They did not put this away right away. They do win the Club World Cup for the second time in the last 3 years. Cristiano Ronaldo with a hat trick. They win 4-2 in extra time over Kashima Antlers. It's a club from Japan. They were trailing at 1.21. Had to go to extra time, as I mentioned. But nevertheless, a fantastic week for Real Madrid and for Cristiano Ronaldo. Wins the Ballon d'Or. Wins the Club World Cup. I don't know what else they can do. They are now 36 games in all comps. Actually, 37, I'm sorry. 37 games in all comps unbeaten. I don't know who could seriously stop them.
Yeah, I'm not sure many. I mean, I'm sure there's teams that can beat them, but over a consistent amount of time, no, I don't know.
Like, who is going to be that team to finally put the nail in the coffin? I honestly don't know. So Real Madrid do have the game in hand, but they still sit atop the La Liga standings with 37 points. Barcelona edged the gap to 3 with their victory over Espanyol yesterday to 34 points. Sevilla right behind there, 33, just a point back from Barca. Villarreal and Real Sociedad are tied 4th and 5th with 29 points. And then Atletico Madrid sits 6th with 28 points. They've been having a really disappointing season, giving up a lot more goals than they're usually accustomed to. But still in 6th, still a lot of time. Only 5 points off a third, so they do have a lot of time. And they're really, really close to just edging that gap and getting right back in that top 3 in Spain, which I do think will happen. But Sevilla are the one team that I think can throw a wrench in a lot of these teams' title hopes. Sevilla are very, very good and underrated. No one really talks about them, but they're flying high right now.
Yeah, I'm not surprised with the way they've been playing. And, I mean, you look at the table, and they're sitting, like you said, at 3rd right now, not far behind either of Barcelona or Real Madrid. So keep up with that pace, and somebody falters, you could be looking at a top 2 spot.
I do think they're looking at a quarterfinal spot in the Champions League as well, but I will wait to preview that in a couple of months from now because we have a couple of months until that'll happen. So we'll transfer over to Serie A. Some big results from Serie A this weekend. Juventus and Roma did match up on Saturday. Those are the top 2 teams in Serie A. A 1-0 victory for Juve. They edge Roma. Now they have a 7-point lead over Roma, who were in second place. A 1-0 goal differential, as I mentioned. 14th minute, Gonzalo Higuain with an absolutely filthy goal for Juve. Just powers it into the right side. Juve now 7 points at the top. I think they're good to go, man. I don't see anyone catching them.
Yeah, Juventus is just they're another story completely. There's every team in Serie A, and then there's Juventus, and nobody really matches up with them the same way.
I think you are so right. I do love that.
It's just a different kind of style. Nobody quite everybody else kind of plays each other like, oh, it's okay, and the people play Juventus, and it's just a different type of game.
You make a lot of good points. Some of these other games from the weekend: Empoli with a 2-0 victory over Cagliari. AC Milan and Atalanta get a 0-0 draw. Sunday was the big day. Inter Milan with a 1-0 victory over Sassuolo. Chievo with a 2-1 victory over Sampdoria. Napoli 5-3 over Torino. You had 4 goals from the Belgian Dries Mertens. He's playing absolutely fantastic since switching from the left side into a more central striker role. 4 goals yesterday against Joe Hart, obviously of Manchester City on loan at Torino. Mm-hmm. So he's playing absolutely fantastic in the striker position. Something they should honestly keep doing, sort of the way he can weave and get in behind runners. He's so small, so he kind of gets lost out there on the pitch. He is absolutely lighting it up for Napoli. Udinese with a 2-0 victory over Crotone. We have Bologna with a 3-0 victory over Pescara. Palermo beat Genoa in an absolute shootout, 4-3. And then Lazio with a 3-1 victory over Fiorentina. So you look at the table, as I mentioned, Juve with a 7-point lead over Roma. Napoli and Lazio are just right behind at 34. And then you have AC Milan. A good season, but they've kind of dropped points recently with their draw and then their loss to Roma last week. They are now 5th with 33 points. You move over to League One really, really quickly before we take our last break at the show. League One this year has kind of been a little interesting. League One is really, in my eyes, the weakest of Europe's top 5 leagues, being the French league. Usually you just see PSG, Paris Saint-Germain absolutely crush everybody. Well, this year, not so much the case. PSG lose yet again. They lose back-to-back games now. They lose to Genkamp 2-1. They're just not the same team they were last year, the year before that, a few years before that. I don't know exactly what has been different with them this year. They sold David Luiz, who's lighting it up in regards to his play with Chelsea. They got rid of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, an aging striker. He's got a guy who can score a lot of goals. He's still doing it in England. But they still have a lot of great players, and they're just not getting it done. I don't exactly know what the problem is with them, but they lose. Nice get a huge, huge victory, which is really, really important. They get a 2-1 victory over Dijon because Lyon do defeat Monaco 3-1. So now you look at the top 3 within France. You have Nice, 43 points, Monaco, 39. PSG, 7 points off the top, 36 points. Then it kind of differentiates from there. You have Lyon, 4th with 31, having a decent season. And then you have Genkamp with 29, the team that did just defeat PSG this weekend. Is this the year that PSG finally lose the French league?
It's possible. You look at the table, and like you said, you have Nice at the top there. PSG's not even in the top 2. And, I mean, you look at the points that Nice has now and the way they've been playing. I mean, they've lost 1 game all year. They're 13-4 in wins to draws. I mean, they're playing well, and they're playing consistently well. And the way PSG is playing, very up and down, I don't know if they're going to be able to catch them. So I very well believe it could be the year that they don't win the French league.
I'm not going to count them out yet. They still are a very good team, still the best team in this league, but they're just not playing with a lot of confidence right now. I think if one team's going to falter, it's going to be Nice. I think Monaco are probably in for the long haul. So good going forward. The most goals in all of Europe. So I think they're going to be in for the long haul. I think Nice might struggle a little bit. Mario Balotelli has been on a great, great season so far. Perhaps he can return to some of the goal-scoring ways he's been the last couple of years, which is not so much. But we'll have to wait and see. He's been really good for Nice. I think PSG are still a good side. They just kind of got to maybe get their composure back a little bit. Maybe this small break with Christmas coming up and everything will help them, but we'll have to wait and see. I really don't know. It's hard to really predict. But we'll take our last break at the show. After the break, we're going to look at this upcoming week in the world of soccer. A lot of great games and competitions all around the world, and that's what we do right here at the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
And we are back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast, and it's time to end the show with the last segment of the day, and that is premiering right now. And we're going to preview the games of only 3 leagues. There's no Premier League games this week. There's no La Liga games this week. Just three leagues to look at. So first we're going to look at the Bundesliga. We have matchups on Tuesday, and we have matchups on Wednesday. We have Borussia Mönchengladbach taking on Wolfsburg, Hamburg, and Schalke taking on one another. We have Borussia Dortmund and Augsburg, and Eintracht and Mainz. That's all on Tuesday. So tomorrow, that's what we're looking at. Wednesday, we have my favorite, and a game that you said is going to be very big. I'll let you talk about in a second. Bayern Munich taking on Red Bull Leipzig. The 1 and the 2 right now currently tied for points. Ingolstadt and SC Freiburg against one another. FC Cologne and Bayer Leverkusen. Hoffenheim and Werder Bremen. And Hertha BSC and Darmstadt are all taking on one another on Wednesday.
You mentioned it, buddy. Number 1 versus number 2. It is by far the biggest game, really, this weekend. And if you were to tell me at the beginning of the season, oh, we're looking at Bayern Munich against RB Leipzig as the biggest game of the weekend, I would say,
why?
Wait, what? Wait, I don't get what you're saying here. But it is the biggest game of the weekend, and you really, really have to say it is a very important game. Number 1 versus number 2. Tied at the top. I mean, is there any way Bayern lose this game? I really
I
can't put a situation in my mind that says Bayern aren't going to win this game big.
Yeah, I think they're going to also. I prefer them to, obviously. And I think they're still I think they're a better team. We talked about this a few weeks ago, who was going to win this one because Red Bull Leipzig snuck into first place. And, I said just the consistency and having been there, I gave it to Bayern. And, I got to go with that the same way. I think they're just going to consistently just keep winning. And, we're going to see that, I think, starting this week.
Definitely. The game is at home for them. The Allianz Arena is a tough place to play for anybody, let alone a team making their first ever trip there in the Bundesliga. The atmosphere is going to be ruckus. They're going to be up for it. They're going to be hyped. I don't see any way Bayern Munich lose this game. I think they're going to win really, really big. I think Leipzig are that team, that surprise team, that are not afraid of anybody. They're going to go in there and try and be confident and poised, probably give up a ton of possession and strike on the counter and just try and be very defensive. I don't think that really works against a team like Bayern. I expect Bayern to win huge. And I'll give you another prediction. I think Hoffenheim will actually win and not draw a game playing Werder Bremen. Werder 14th in the league, 15 points through 15 games. Just not a good team. Have 8 losses. I think Hoffenheim can give them number 9 and not just another draw. I hope not. I'm tired of seeing them draw every game. They need to keep winning. They're unbeaten, but yet they're third in the table, 9 points back because they can't beat anyone. They just draw to them. It's definitely sad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they'll go that far. I personally might give them another draw, but I like your bold prediction there, Ben. That's bold enough. It is
very bold because all we see from them is a draw, so it's extremely bold.
Very true. All right, let's move on. Let's look at Serie A. And again, we have matchups this week. We have Tuesday, we have Wednesday, and we have Thursday. And Thursday is the big day. So we have Atalanta taking on Empoli. That's tomorrow. Wednesday, we have Inter Milan and Lazio taking on one another. Then on the big day, like I said, Thursday, we have Sampdoria and Udinese, Palermo and Pescara, Crotone and Juventus. That's postponed, though, as well as Bologna and AC Milan. Those games are postponed. I don't know when those will be resumed and picked up. Cagliari and Sassuolo are taking on one another. Torino and Genoa. Roma and Chievo. And Fiorentina and Napoli all playing. So the only 2 that we have to worry about in terms of future reference is the Juventus Crotone game and the Bologna and Milan game, AC Milan game. Those are postponed until, as far as I know, further notice.
Definitely just trying to get these last few days in before the Christmas winter break. Not anything like the Bundesliga, we're a month off, but a couple of weeks. So it's really nice that they give them a little bit of time off, with the exception of England. They play the day after and really every single day after that. But every other league tries to give their club some time off, which is nice. Just trying to get these last few games in. Nothing really stands out. No really huge matchup. Kind of middle of the tables all the way. But really important results if they want to try and challenge Juventus at any point. Roma, you look at teams like Napoli, maybe Lazio. They have to get really, really good results. Lazio versus Inter Milan could be an interesting game. Standalone game on Wednesday. Lazio should be the favorites. Inter playing a little better since they got rid of Frank de Boer as manager. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and that's pretty much how it shapes out right now. And we're looking at La Liga. doesn't have any matchups. Premier League doesn't have any matchups, so we just have League 1. Serie A, nothing. I just mentioned it. So let's move on to the French League. Friday, obviously that's passed. We look at this week. We have games starting on Wednesday, and that's it. We have Bastia and Marseille taking on one another. Marseille. We have PSG seeing if they can turn things around against Lorient. We have Lyon and Angers taking on one another. Most of these games, actually all these games, are all getting kicked off at 11:50 a.m. here on the Pacific Standard Time zone. We have Nice and Bordeaux. Nice, who is in first place as of right now. We'll see if they can continue to put things together. Monaco and Caen, they are taking on one another. Montpellier and Nantes. Lille and Rennes. And Metz and Gonkamp all taking on one another in a big Wednesday match day in League 1.
Very important game for PSG. Couple of bad losses in a row now. Now they place Lorient, who are last in the league. Almost looks certain enough that they're going to get relegated back down to League 2. So they need to get an important victory. And this is a good game to turn it around. You're playing a really bad team right before the winter Christmas break. After that game on Wednesday, they won't be playing again until January 14th. So they have like a 3-week off before they play a big game against Rennes. So a big result, Wednesday, would be huge against Lorient, and I think they'll get it. They're just too good of a team to be losing all these games. They just simply are.
You know, I find that in sports in general sometimes, but especially in football and soccer, that you have teams that are too good to be losing these games, but they're losing these games.
I get what you're saying. I see it. You know, it happens. And like a 1-goal lead or a 2-goal lead sometimes is not even a guaranteed thing. So I get that, and against Lorient, they should be able to handle business, and that'll maybe give them some added chemistry, some momentum going into the Christmas break, and hopefully something they can pick up going out of it.
Yeah, and it's be interesting to see, and you know, I am going to be just like everybody else now, and on Monday, Ben, I'm going to tune in to hear exactly what your thoughts are on these games.
And I will make sure I do that next week. The day after Christmas. Alex, you will not be here, so this is it for you, buddy.
Yep.
I'm sorry. We had a great run.
It's okay.
We had a great MLS All-Star weekend. That's definitely the highlight of our time here on the show together.
Invite me anytime you want.
I would be more than happy to have you back.
I would love that. Right now I feel a lot like Bill Murray from Zombieland. You know? He's just kind of sitting there, and she goes, "Do you have any regrets?" And he goes, "Garfield, maybe." And I like it, and he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I shot you. Do you think you're going to pull through?" And like he looks at everybody and he just stares at Jesse Eisenberg and goes, "No." Just to make him feel extra bad. I love it. But yes, I had a wonderful time doing this show, Ben. And I look forward to coming back every once in a while and making this show even better.
I look forward to seeing you coming back every once in a while. It'll be great to see you back, buddy.
Yeah, I'll be here through Thursday, though. And don't forget, you and I have Wednesday as well.
Yeah, Wednesday on the sports show. This is it for the soccer show, but...
Oh, are you going to be here every day this week?
I will not be, no.
I thought you were done with school. My apologies.
I am, but I won't be able to be here every day.
That's fine. Maybe Thursday, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll make a cameo to say goodbye.
There you go. Can I do the goodbyes?
Yes,
can I sign
you
off?
can.
All right. So, as always, I'd like to thank you guys for listening to the Golden State Media Concept Soccer Podcast with my friend Ben and I here. I'd like to thank you so much for listening to every episode that I've been on, and I would encourage you to continue listening to every episode that Ben is on himself. Thank you guys for listening. As always, I'm Alex.
My name is Ben.
And I'll see you guys some other time.
And I'll see you guys next week talking a lot of great things, a lot of results. It's almost the end of 2016, so we'll do a year in review of soccer. And we're just a few days away from the January transfer window. Nothing usually pretty big goes down in January, but we will talk all the rumors. And if there's any early confirmed deals within the next couple of weeks in January on the show. Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. Goodbye, guys.
Have a good one, guys.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.